There are times in our lives when we struggle, and the Holy Spirit will send a helper, somebody who has the words to encourage us. Other times he will, when like David, we might have to encourage ourselves, and other times the Holy Spirit will encourage us. But there are times like we see John the Baptist going through the valley when things just don't go the way he's expecting. He starts to doubt. We see Elijah. He's physically tired after running. He's mentally exhausted of always being, on the run. He's spiritually drained, and he's going to sit there and say, Lord, take my life away. And like that, we sit under the tree at times and we say, I'm just going to sit right here and wait to die. And I think in modern day, as we're so used to things happening so instantly, everything is instant, all communication, all answers, that we somehow expect the same from God. We want to see instant results, instant response. Like we text him and he texts right back. But I want to share something that encouraged me, because I was in the I'm gonna sit under the tree and die situation, and I want to, you know how Jesus tells Peter that after you're restored, strengthen your brothers. And now that I'm restored and the Holy Spirit restored me, he sent me here to strengthen you also. So I want to share with you what he shared with me. Now, in Isaiah 49 verses 2 and 3, it says, and he has made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand has he hid me, and made me a polished shaft, or an arrow. In his quiver has he hid me, and said unto me, you are my servant Israel, in whom I will be glorified. And this morning when I woke up, the image the Holy Spirit gave me is this bow with the quivers, with the arrows. And he showed me that when an archer has a bow and an arrow, and he has to hit a target, if it's something that's nearby, he only pulls a little bit and boom, hits the target. But if it's something that is far, something that needs to withstand the wind and in the distance, he'll pull really far back and boom, then it gets released. And he showed me that with Abraham, the promise God made him was so great. You're thinking about every nation on the earth will be blessed in Abraham. That is this massive target of this distance of this promise, and it's this great promise. And for God to fulfill that, think of Abraham as that arrow. God had to pull it back, and that tension, that string is faith. He had to pull so far back that it says that in Romans 4 verses 18 to 21, it says that he didn't consider his own body as good as dead, hoping against all hope. By the time he got to that place when the quiver, the bow was pulled so far back, he was essentially hoping against hope and as good as dead. And that is what propelled this arrow to go all the way to target, to be able to fulfill this blessing, this promise that God made him, that every nation will be blessed in him. And we see the same thing in our lives. God has made us a promise. We're all sitting on a promise that God made, waiting to see it manifested, waiting to see that promise fulfilled. And the more we wait, the more that a string is pulled, the more we're hoping against hope, and things are becoming hopeless, and that tension of being pulled so far back, having to use so much faith to stand on that promise. And we see that in our own lives. The greater the promise, the greater that tension, the greater the struggle, the greater the challenge to hold on. Because we know that when God releases, boom, the arrow goes. The one thing about arrows is, I don't know much about archery, but I know one thing, that whenever somebody makes their target, it's not the arrow that receives glory, it's the archer. Because in this instance, we see in Isaiah 49, he made me a polished shaft. He takes this arrow and he polishes it and prepares it. So when God uses a person, think of us as arrows, he first has to prepare the person, and he essentially prepares this arrow only to after that be able to put him in there in the bow and pull to the right distance, the right amount, the right intensity to release and hit a target, and only he receives glory. In Isaiah 49 verse 3, it says, "You are my servant, Israel, in whom I will be glorified." And we are his servants, in whom he will be glorified, because when it's all said and done, when he's done preparing the arrow, when he's done pulling to the right amount, when he will receive the glory for what he will accomplish and do through us. And we see in Hebrew 11, when it talks about Abraham, it says, "Oh, by faith Abraham did this, and through faith Sarah did that. Therefore sprang there, even of one, and him as good as dead, so many as the stars in the sky in multitude, and as the sand by which is by the seashore innumerable." Arrows, we're propelled by faith. And we see in Hebrews 11, it's just a whole lot of arrows that by faith, they go and accomplish that which was set before them. So today, this is my encouragement to you. If you're sitting on a promise of God, and if you're at the place where you're hoping against hope, and it's getting rather hard to hold on to that faith, Hebrews 10:35-36 says, "Cast not away therefore your confidence, which has great recompense of reward. For you have need of patience, that after you've done the will of God, you may receive the promise." So today, think of yourself as that arrow, and the greater the tension that you're in, that's the further back God has pulled you. That means when he releases, boom, you're gone. And great will be your reward, and great will be the things that God will do through you. So today, take heart, be encouraged, and wait on the promises of God. Be blessed, friends.